Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we'll be building a Markdown previewer using Vue 3, Tailwind CSS, Markdown-it, and a couple of other libraries. So let me give you a demo of what we'll be building. So as you can see, we already have some Markdown here and which is getting previewed here. So let me just highlight some of the text here, Markdown. Let me highlight the guide text and just click on highlight it. And it's going to basically highlight it. As you can see, it has basically added equal on the left and right of the guide. Similarly, we can come here and just add by default like H2. Some of the things like having tables only can be added as such. You can't highlight and add a table. I've not planned to give a lot of very advanced functionality as such. Okay, and you can delete also everything. And for default text, I'll give an I. Because see, the thing is like I did not plan to like add all the markdown functionalities. You can add it if you want after this video. But anyway, it also has dark mode and light mode support, as you can see. So this is what we're building by the end of this video. I think this is enough for a demo. So let me discuss about the project. With the project, I have already went ahead and created a basic setup using white and Vue. And I've already done the configuration for running basic Tailwind. Let me run it now itself. As you can see, it's working fine, Tailwind. Other than that, before getting started much, let me discuss about icons also. As you can see, we have icons here on all of these, and I'll be using the Iconify framework. This is quite extensive. It has a lot of icons and it avoids vendor locking for you. So I'll be using specifically the Google Material icons here. You can select the icons. Let me show you how you have to do it if you're going normal way. You can basically click on any of the icons which you want. First of all, it's up to you whether you want to select which kind of icon sets. I've selected only one icon set, which is Google Material icons. You can select multiple if you want. But it's good to have only one or two, I guess. And we are going to basically select the icon, and here you can do some changes if you want. If you want to do some things, you can copy the SVG directly, or you can come here and take the HTML, React, Vue. For the Vue part, you can do is like you can come here and just select npm install I save iconify Vue, and you can basically come and import icons wherever you want. I went with a different approach uh, to make it hard, or you can say to make it more interesting. It's up to you, whatever. But if you want to just use it in the first shot, you can use basically you can do using this one. And if you don't want to import it everywhere, you can just basically have icon as a global component and use it wherever you need it. And you can just copy this lines of code. I'll be using something different. I'll be using something called unplugin icons. For the unplugin icons, you have to basically install as a development dependency that already have done it, as you can see here somewhere. Yeah, here as you can see. And if you would like, you can install the whole Iconify set. Basically, it's 120 MB. Don't get freaked out now itself. As you can see, the line it's saying only the icons you actually use will be Monday the production build. So don't worry about it. If you want, you can install it like this directly. But I went ahead and simply installed using this way, only because I'll be only using the MDI. And if you are interested, and after this, if you would like to go more one step deep, you can basically configure. You can do the auto import itself. Somewhere, let me see where's the link of it, using something called unplugging view components that also have went and done it. Again, like I told previously, you could have just directly went ahead and used this icons directly from here, but I'm going a little bit more just to make it more interesting in one way. But here you have to do some extra configuration, so we'll be doing that now itself. So let me open the whiteconfig.js. Let me copy all of these lines and again copy these lines and come here, save. So now we'll be able to use icons like this way in our throughout our applications. So just this basic configuration I needed to do. Other than that, for the preview part, what happens is like by default, what happens is by default, uh, I think it's better to say it later. Anyway, I'll come back to it later with regards to Tailwind. There's going to be some issue and we'll discuss and solve it together. So I think I think we can discuss now the components part. As you can see, we have it's quite obvious, but let me clarify. We have three components. One is going to be the editor controls, the top one, is going to contain all our icons. The left part is which is going to contain our markdown is going to be one more component. Another component is going to be the preview one. So let me create those components now itself. And since we're using something called, what's the name? Unplug and view components, you don't need to write the names for the component itself. You can basically import it like this. Let me open it to show it to you. With first time of you seeing it, basically it's going to allow auto importing of your components out of the box. So, and by default, what it will do is like it will convert this component into this component. It's going to basically add the hello world or component registry if you want. Since we already do importing it, so why not use it? So hence I'll not be importing the components as such. I think that should be clear. And I think now we can first of all have the state also. The thing is like I think I'm not sure whether I missed out or not. The thing is like we can resize also these sections. One is the editor as well as the preview components. For that I'm using Splitpanes, which I think I've covered in a previous video, but in here also I'll cover enough for us to get by. Other than that, I'm also storing the state in the local storage. Our local storage is going to be our single source of truth. I'm not planning to use any kind of reactive variable, otherwise any composable or pinya as such. Our local storage is going to be a state of truth. Let me show you what I meant by like this. Let me change the guide as you can as reflected here also. So that's what we have to do. Let me close this also. So now we can first of all do that also. So in the source, I'll create a file in store. Let me start writing the user local storage. This is going to handle our storage. Let me hit markdown as the key. And our default value is going to be initial string. I think this should be just an empty string. Yeah. We're using Markdown to basically reactively change stuff inside our local storage. So now I think we can come back to editor. For editor, as you can see, this is just a text area, so I'll be using that. So let me just create it. Let me copy some of the styles from this. Don't worry about the dark part, dark mode stuff. We'll be discussing that later. And I think I did a mistake here. You have to have text areas like this, I guess. Yeah. Now let me write the script setup. So we need to do a couple of things here. We need to basically take the text area and we need to basically the thing is like what text area has to do is like there are a couple of things. One is like suppose whenever the user clicks on this location in text area, we need to know this cursor position where the user has clicked, and that can be tracked using something called at input and at click events. We are going to be listening on that. So let me write those here. We'll be checking if for some reason the text area is empty because just to keep TypeScript happy there. And if the text area dot value is there, then we'll take the selection start and we're going to assign it to, I don't think we need to assign it. Yeah, we need to just emit it. So we need to write that. So whenever any input happens on a text area, or otherwise, okay, here it should be. Let me clarify if I missed out anything. Basically, text I'm not using here code mirror or Monaco editor. In my previous video, I've done it. If you're interested, you can basically integrate that in this video and just make it extendable. Anyway, coming back to the text area, I'll be using text area to know where I'll be using it at input as well as the at click events to know where the user is practically in what place. I'll be listening on those events and basically calling this set cursor position. It's going to basically check the text area if it's there just to keep TypeScript happy, otherwise it's going to complain. There are other ways to solve it, but I'm just keeping it like this. Then I'm going to get a selection start. It's going to tell me where exactly the cursor is there. As you can see, VS Code also tells it now clearly. So whenever I get the position or whenever the user's input or has clicked on the text area, I'll be emitting this event cursor change and at the app.view where the editor is going to reside is going to listen for these changes. I think that should be clear now. And let me just walk you through with the Tailwind. I've just done the width full and height full, and I've made the resizes none because it's text area. I've given some padding, and I've given the outline none, so that as you can see, it's not highlighting. And for dark and this will be coming back to later anyway. I've given the styles currently now, and we need to give the V model also. It's going to be Markdown. What happened? It's me did not import or what? Yeah. As you can see, it works fine now. And for the preview, let me just paste it. I like walk you through what I've done. For preview, what we'll have is like we'll be again using a div tag and we'll be basically binding the VHTML with the whatever gets rendered to the from the markdown. In here on the left side, we'll be typing stuff and that will be taken as the input from the local storage and it will be used inside the markdown-it.render function and it's gonna convert it to HTML, which is gonna be rendered in our div tag. The div tag has something special here, which is called pros. This is required. Let me just show you. This is required if your code is coming up from a Markdown or CMS. That's what Tailwind says. I've already went ahead and installed in the package.json. Let me just do one thing. Yeah. So I've already, I think, went ahead and installed a typography. For configuring, it's also quite simple. You just need to come and copy this code and come to tailwind.config.js. And here in the plugins, you have to paste it. And this should work fine now. Otherwise, what would happen? It will Tailwind is gonna affect your stylings for those, right? Those preview side. I'll show it to you later when we render this components everything together. But for now, you can take my words for granted. Okay. So we have the VHTML, and let me walk you through some of the imports which I've done. Like the Markdown IT is required for rendering the uh, Markdown content to HTML, and there are a lot of plugins which it has, like Markdown IT Anchor, Highlight.js, Emoji, Sub, etc., etc. And some of them have types, and most of them don't have types. So I've just went with the easy way and just put TA signal everywhere. And the only thing and there are some other libraries also which you can use it. I've just kept it here for reference, but I've not put it as a plugin. But here I've again imported Markdown. So what I'm doing is like in the script tag, this is script tag. I'm basically, I think it's better for me to minimize it. Yeah. So basically I'm calling the Markdown IT constructor, which as you can see it's up here, import Markdown IT. And I'm basically using all these plugins. So that's what it's quite easy in that way. And if you want, there are more plugins. I think I've added a lot of plugins already, but if there are more, then you can add it if you want. But that's it, I guess, for the preview component. There's nothing much as such, honestly speaking, in there. Only this part was there, which I thought was quite verbose, so I've just kept it like this. So preview is done. So we need to come to editor controls. So I'm having second thoughts. Maybe I think we can start with app.view first, then we can come back to editor controls because editor controls is a lot more involved. So let me discuss about what will be there in app.view. App.view will contain editor controls, editor, as well as preview. So what we'll do is like we'll be listening for the changes in the from the editor component as events, and we'll be basically be setting some reactive variable on the app.view, and we'll be passing as we'll be basically injecting that to our editor controls. Here we could have went with the props event, basically emit and props, how we normally do in any kind of view application. But I thought it would be interesting to use provide and inject for this use case. So hence I'll be using something called so hence we need to create injection keys. Basically, if you're completely new to uh, provider inject, it's not going to be too much tough as such. And we'll be discussing how much enough it's required for this application to work. So we need to first come to injection keys. It's better to always have the keys in one specific place. And we'll write export const cursor position will be better name. It's gonna be I'll be using symbol. If you're completely beginner with symbol, symbol is gonna allow you to give complete unique value. You can use string, but symbol is gonna guarantee that symbol. Just to show you, if you're completely beginner or if you've not seen symbol till now, symbol equal symbol. Symbol itself is not going to be equal to itself. So in that way, it's going to guarantee it's going to be unique. Okay. So that's it. That's why I'm using it. You can use strings also, but symbol is good too. At least the docs also say that. So have put the symbol here. Now what you have to do is like we have to come dot app.view. Let me remove whatever we already have. Let me write the editor controls here. Like I told you, you don't need to do it. It's up to you if you are interested, but I'll just remove it. Then we need to come here, we need to write provide. We need to give the key, which is going to be cursor position, and the value. The value is going to be our cursor position, which is going to be a number. By default, I'm going to give it 0. This cursor is going to be sent to or injected to our components which you would like to send. I'm not sure why VS Code is giving issues. Provide should be here and ref also has to be imported. Sorry about that. I'm not sure why. We have editor controls here. And like I told you previously, I'll be using Splitpanes. Let me import it. I think it's again giving issues. Let me do it manually. And we need to import the CSS also. So Splitpanes is going to contain both our editor. And we need to wrap it again in pane. And second, we're going to have preview component. We remove them. It's going to work anyway. For pane, we need to give some min size. I'll give it 5. And for editor, I'll give it class equal to pg gray 900. I think it's going to be for dark mode. Don't worry about it. We'll be fixing that in editor controls. How to have dark mode. It's quite easy, honestly speaking. Yeah. Other than that, split pane is going to have all this stuff only. And for we need to handle cursor change from editor. Is it editor itself? Not sure why my VS Code is. Anyway, it should be cursor change. Let me have the function for that. I'll be updating the cursor position, that value equal to cursor position. Anyway, let me give it a type of number. Let me give it position. This is gonna be position. It should, and for the split planes, let me do one more thing. I'll be adding this. This is going to basically allow to give it with an background. I've not explained much in detail about what split panes is, what pane is. Quite easy to do, easy to implement. Otherwise, if you would like more detail, you can check out the previous video. I've went in some more detail in compared to this video. So basically, this is going to allow us to resize our pane like how you can see in the demo. I think this is it. I think then we can now get started with edit control seriously. And it's going to contain a lot of logic now going forward. Let's just to save some time, I've just went ahead and copied the markup because it's just some basic stuff, and I've added a couple of files as well, which are quite extensive in one way. One is the types as well as one is the utils. So let me first of all do one thing, like let me plug the editor controls and see what we have in the UI, and then we can discuss further with the types and utils and the next step forwards. So first of all, let me come to app.view. I think it's already there. So let me open it. As you can see, there's some issue with height, I guess. So what I'll do is, like, instead of putting height full, and without going too much into details, I'll just put this. Should fix. There is still some overflow which is gonna be fixed after we do some conditional stuff with the moon and icon. Okay, so you can ignore that for now. So anyway, I think as you can see, it's working. It's somewhat working fine. Let us see whether it works fine or not. So let me write something here. As you can see, I think it's a HT tag. At least that may be more clear by using H1 tag. As you can see, it's working fine, I think. At least the rendering is working fine, and we can resize also. Now we need to go for the main logic, and like I told you, we can now discuss about the types and as well as some of the things which I've imported. For types, what I do is, like, let me walk you through with the markup. As you can see in the markup, we have couple of buttons, and like I told you, I have used Iconify I hyphen MDI hyphen some syntax like how we have here, and I've installed an extension called Iconify. Let me see the name. Iconify. You can install it. Basically, you can get the highlighting in the VS Code itself. So this is it. And what I've done is, like, for each of these buttons, whenever I click on them, I'm basically sending a specific tag which I have put in types. I'm basically using the enums instead of, so to avoid to avoid mistakes like we get if you use just vanilla JavaScript by mistyping the strings and all. So that's why I'm using the enums here in the editor controls, and whenever I click on, suppose in tags h1 I'm clicking on, then I'm sending tags h1. Something similar I've done for all of them. For the info text as well as for delete text and the this one for a toggling, we'll be doing some extra other additional logic, you can say. I went ahead and created another file also, which is called utils.ts. Before going to the code, let me explain some of the things. Like, as you can see here on the left side, right side of the browser, basically, uh, and H1 starts with hashtag. Something similarly, we have bold, which surrounds with some bold underline, strike, etc. They surround with some symbols, which means something there. Quote is also starts, and text is somewhat different, and code, fence load, and table. So what I'm trying to say is, like, we need to write separate logic for all of them. And if you add more tags, then you'll have to add more logic for it. So what I've done is like I've went with a something simple logic, you can say. So first I've created a type basically of tag entry. This has a couple of booleans: surround, start, and add. Surround is for tags like h1, h2. Sorry, not h1. Surround is basically for tags like bold, italic, underline, strike through, which needs to surround with something. Start is basically for h1, h2, block code, etc. And add is basically for tags like table, image, etc. So whenever we encounter tags as bold, then we are going to basically check whether it has surround as true or not. If its surround is true is there, that means it's a bold tag, and we're gonna just surround with star star. Something's named for italic, etc. And for H1, we're gonna see whether whether something exists like star or not. If something is like star, then we're gonna start with this hashtag one, and for H2 double hashtags. Similarly, for link, we're gonna check if the add is true or not. If the add is true, that means we're gonna add the body of this. Similarly, for image, something similar. And one thing to note is like if you don't even if you highlight something, if you highlight something and you click on these images, sorry, these buttons like link, image, code, etc., they're not going to function. I've done it purposefully, but for others like super or something like that, if you just click on, select, highlight them and then click on H1, H2, it's going to work. So it's done purposefully. So it'll be writing the logic for that. So before that, let me write some of the basic things. Like let's just come back here for I, delete, and these all. So let me come here. For I, what I can do is like, first I need to import Markdown, I guess. I think I've not imported it. If I is Markdown is, if basically you click on I would like it to populate with some pre-populate, with some default text or Markdown, you can say, which are already saved in here in Markdown info. So just copy that and paste it. I'll just refresh it. Obviously import it also. And for some reason it's not happening. First of all, I'm not sure why it's importing type. This has to be utils. This is going to be Markdown info. Let me refresh. As you can see, it has populated it correctly now. And when we click on delete, I would like you to delete the markdown. As you can see, deleting. So now one more thing is like for dark mode, light mode, I think we can do it now itself. So I'm going to be using some composables which we get from VueUse core. One is going to be the use dark, another is going to be the use toggle. So use dark is going to by default take something from local store if it's there. I think it was vice versa. I think it was correct. I'm not sure completely now. But yeah, use dark is going to basically take from local storage if something is there. If it's not there, it's going to take a user's one. And use toggle is basically going to toggle the value for use dark. It's somewhat easy in that way. I'm going to toggle it. Let me toggle dark. For const toggle dark, we need to call this. Let me have dark itself. Whenever the button is clicked on the hover, not hover, basically this button, whenever it gets clicked, we'll be calling the toggle dark function. And whenever this is there, if it's dark, it's going to show this, otherwise we else. And I think I missed out somewhere. This needs to be at the button level. Refresh. As you can see, this toggling is happening fine. Now we need to configure Tailwind. What happens when we do dark mode, light mode is basically, let me show it to you. As you can see the HTML tag, when I click on it, it's going to add a class of dark. When I click again, it's gonna add remove it. So already we have some of the places dark styles. So what we're gonna do is like we need to tell Tailwind to honor it basically, and that again can be done here. Dark mode as save and comma. Now if I click on it, as you can see, it's working fine. That's it for the dark mode to work fine. So now we can come with the logic part. Let me do the info part. And let me clarify one more thing like I told previously. Let me go to preview. Now suppose if I remove pros, as you can see, weird stuff starts happening. Let me do light mode. So to avoid these kind of scenarios, I'm using pros. And one more thing is like, let me show it to you. This is called dark pros invert. So if you'd like to have mode for this preview icon, sorry, preview container, you need to do that. Otherwise, it's not going to come here. So that's why I'm using this dark pros invert. Just letting you know here. Okay, I think we can get back to the editor controls now. Now we need to come with the main logic part. So the thing is like whenever you click, basically you select something, there is something, some other composable also for that. And it's, I think the name is use text selection. This is going to give us a text. I think the text is reactive, yes. And we can use the text to decide whether the user has basically highlighted something and then he or she is pressing the buttons, or otherwise the user has clicked on some place and then the action is being performed. We need to check that. Based on that, we are going to call different functions. So first I'll check if the text value, if it's there is something, basically it's not an empty string, then we are going to check. Sorry, I think I'm writing something else. It should be markdown.value. If the markdown contains this text, because there's a possibility for the user to highlight, basically select text which are not in our control. Again, that also will be highlighted, which you don't want. So that I'm checking whether the text is there and it's not an empty string, and as well as the markdown contains the text not in the first place. This is an extra check, but we need to do that because this use text selection is basically gonna track every selection on the window itself. That's why it's important for checking it. So we need to check it whether it's there or not. If it is there, again in our scenario, we can have the same text, but I'm just ignoring that to not make it more complicated. So if the text value is there and the markdown is there, then we are going to check if the tag and whatever tag we get, if it doesn't have add, I think there's some issue here. Property add does not exist on type tags. Sorry, I think I need to import tags map. If the tags map and if we come to tag, if it doesn't have add, only then we are going to continue because if it has add, that means it's either an image or something like that. We don't want to continue, and we'll write an extra logic here. Basically, we are going to write markdown dot value, and we are going to call a function. Okay, and let me just come back to it later. Let me add a else also. For else also, we'll be writing markdown dot value equal to something. So we'll be writing those functions now. So let me come here and start writing them. One will be replace highlighted text. So we need to write another function which is going to be export function add tags. Add tags is going to be responsible for adding tags. Replace highlighted text is going to be for responsible for replacing highlighted tags. This is going to take a couple of things. One is going to be the markdown. Second is cursor position. I'm gonna come back how to inject that in our editor controls. But anyway, markdown, cursor position, then we need tags, and most importantly, we need the highlighted tags. And let me add the types also for them. Markdown is gonna be string, cursor position is gonna be number, tag is gonna be a tag, highlighted text is again gonna be a string. Save. We'll first get the tag entry, which is gonna be tags map and tag inside of it in bracket notation. And we're gonna anyway we're expecting it's not gonna be having the adders there because we already because replace highlighted text is gonna only be running the code for surround as well as start with. So tag entry is okay. Then we need to add let replace text. It's gonna be an empty string. Then we need to check if tag entries has surround as true. That means replace text is gonna be equal to tag entry dot surround. It's tag dot width. It should be highlighted text. Again, something similar for width. Otherwise, if it's just start, then we need to just start it. And at the end, we need to return. We need to basically what we have to take. We have to already taken a markdown as an input. So this is going to take the markdown as the input. So we need to again return the markdown. And that markdown is going to be reassigned back to the markdown.value which is stored in the local storage. So to do that, we'll just return it. Since we don't have any, what we have to do is like just clarify one more thing, which I think I might have missed out. See, here's the thing, as you can see here, there are chances like the same text to repeat, like suppose markdown. Basically, we have the markdown here. As you can see, we have three markdown entries. Whichever we select, we need to basically need to understand which one the user has selected. Basically, it's like not the first one, second one. It needs to basically accurately determine it. So to do that, we'll be using the cursor position, which is gonna anyway which is basically gonna tell us where exactly the cursor was last placed. So using that, we can do it. And another thing is like we don't have any kind of string, sorry, basically a function in JavaScript to basically put some kind of string at a specific location. So hence we need to do something quite uh, very elementary way in one way. We need to write markdown dot slice. We will take the till the cursor position and you to put the replace text. Then we will again write markdown dot slice cursor position plus highlighted text. Sorry, it should be replace text dot length. Let me again clarify. Like what we'll do is like first we'll take the markdown until the cursor position, and then we're going to replace instead of the text which is going to be the replace text. Basically, it'll be having the replace text here, and post that we're going to take the cursor position plus replace text dot length. Not replace text. It should be highlighted text dot length. Sorry about that. It's basically gonna take. It's gonna basically remove the string. You can imagine yourself that the whole string contain markdown, and from we're splitting the string into two halves and replacing something else instead of markdown, and again concatenating a string together and then sending that back. That's what we're doing in this function. So let me just show it to you. So this first one was this. What is the function name? I'm not sure why. Let me again import it from here. We need to pass it a lot of things. One is going to be the markdown, which is going to be markdown.value. Second is going to be cursor position, which is going to be cursor position. Okay, I've not done the cursor position. Let me show it to you now itself. So cursor position is going to be let cursor position equal to inject. We need to import what's the variable name I given cursor position. This has basically injected cursor position in our location here. So, and to avoid TypeScript error, let me typecast it. This should be okay. Now highlighted text will be the highlighted text, which is gonna nothing, which is gonna be basically the text dot value. And last but not the least, we have tag, which is gonna be just tag. So as you can see, it's working fine. Now let me clear it. Select something and click on it. As you can see, it's working fine for a lot of things. For S3 also is working fine. But we need to now focus on the add tags because as you can see, let me highlight it. So the add tags is going to come with call this function. So suppose if we just come here and try to add text, nothing's going to happen. We need to write a logic for that. So I think we can get started now again. Let me come to utils.js. For the add tags also something similar I have to do. I'll just copy this. Most of the things will be similar, but highlighted text is not required. Highlighted text is not required. Other than that, we need to just basically I'll just take start content. This is nothing. This is going to be marked down or slice 0 to cursor position and the end content is going to be sliced from the cursor position. Let text equal to empty string. Let tag entry. There are a lot of things which will be similar. So let me write copy paste them. And if the text, let me copy paste this also. So if the tag entries has surround, then we are gonna take replace text and we are gonna basically add the tag to it. We're basically gonna add the tag to it. Again, something similar here also tag. Otherwise, the else scenario will be, let me write it also. Else if tag entry dot add. In that case, it's gonna be tag text is gonna be equal to tag entry dot body. And we are gonna return start content plus text plus end content. So now we can have the add tags here. So let me just uncomment this code, put the add tags here. I have no idea why, but yeah, I have to import it from here. Let me just copy all of this, remove the highlighted text. Cursor position, I can just remove this. Remove. Let's see, refresh and save. Now, if I come here and just try to add something like image, as you can see, it's working fine. Now suppose if I try to add something else, yeah, it's working. That is also working fine. I think everything is mostly working fine. I don't think I missed out anything. Yes, information, table. Cool, this looks good. Let me maximize it. Cool, I think this works fine. I don't think I've missed out much as such. But yeah, you can go ahead and add a lot more extra stuff. Like you can add functionalities for all those things. Like you can come to this cheat sheet and you can add buttons, extra buttons for other stuff. Like I think some which I have missed out are like unordered list, ordered list, lines, etc. You can add them here if you're interested. But obviously, this the way I've implemented, they have a lot of edge cases also. But for if you're completely familiar with Markdown, I don't think you'll anywhere encounter the edge cases. But anyway, this project was mainly for you to understand how you can use Markdown render IT. So it was Markdown IT, I guess, yeah, to basically render the HTML, sorry, Markdown content to HTML as well as preview it in using Vue 3, etc. So I think that was it, I guess. And I don't think I've missed on anything. But yeah, but let me just clarify one thing. If you're interested, let me just do one thing. If you're interested about the cursor position, which you might be at least, so let me do console.log to at least show you whether I place anything something or not happening there. Obviously, the logic is working fine. So I'll do console.log cursor position.value. So basically, whenever I click on this location, as you can see, it's saying 109. By default, it's gonna have zero since we have put zero. After that, it's gonna have 100 or whatever, wherever you basically press in here or here. Just want to show you that one. I think that was it. Nothing much special there. But yeah, I think this was the end of the video and hope to see other videos as well. I'm planning to have more videos as well in this whole playlist series and hope to see another video as well. And bye.